Hey everybody, it's Jeff from Yawk, and welcome to another edition of the summer series, Jeff Drives Around New York City. Today we're driving around the northern end of Lower Manhattan. Right now we're on Canal Street, which transverses the Isle of Manhattan from west to east or east to west, depending upon which direction you're driving, but it does cut the city in half down here in Lower Manhattan. First, we'll be visiting Little Italy, which, by the way, is getting littler every year I come here. Then we'll visit Chinatown, which, by the way, is growing every year I come here, taking over neighboring neighborhoods such as Little Italy and the Bowery. But first, let's make a left here onto the world-famous Mulberry Street in Little Italy, shall we? Now we're heading north on Mulberry Street, and we're going to go up to about 3 or 4 blocks, and that's pretty much it for Little Italy. It used to be much larger. It used to be Mott Street, which is 1 block east of where we are right now, but Chinatown pretty much took over Mott Street, so this is pretty much all that's left of Little Italy. Not too sure how many Italian immigrants still live in this area. I can tell you that lots of tourists do visit it, though. It's kind of like a touristy kind of spot. And they also have that San Gennaro feast, which is once a year in September. If you're visiting Manhattan during that feast, it's a must go to, even though it's very touristy. Lots of food, lots of crafts, and things like that. When Italian immigrants moved to this Manhattan neighborhood in the late 1800s, they brought their customs, food, and language. Little Italy streets are lined with restaurants serving Italian staples on red and white checkered tablecloths. Di Paolo's Cheese Shop and Ferrara Bakery and Cafe, known for its cannoli and espresso, are among the long-tenured businesses still operating today. And one of New York City's oldest street fairs, the annual Feast of San Gennaro, celebrates the patron saint of Naples every September with food and festivities. Actually, one of the very first videos on the New York channel was several years ago, and it was here during the San Gennaro Festival in Little Italy. How old is that video? Well, that video is basically Italian music with still photographs of the festival. That's how old it is. During the San Gennaro Festival, Mulberry Street, the street that we're on right now, is closed off, and it's just loaded with tents and food trucks and people showing off their wares, and there's an Italian museum here that's very busy, and all these street cafes are crawling with tourists, and it's been a while since I've been to the Feast of San Gennaro, and I think I'm going to go this year if I can fit it into my schedule. I'm definitely going to do a video here of that festival. When I was in college, we used to come here on Sundays and visit a restaurant called Puglia's, which is still around, by the way. It's celebrating its 104th anniversary this year. And we used to eat, it was like family style. The tables were probably, I'm going to say, 20 feet long. You sat next to strangers, but still a fantastic atmosphere with tablecloths. And there used to be this woman that came around to each table and just sang opera a cappella. And just fantastic memories. And believe me, the wine was flowing on those Sundays. The meal experience could last hours, and believe me, although there were lots of strangers at that table, when you left, everyone was friends. And believe it or not, folks, that's pretty much it for Little Italy. We were on Mulberry Street. We went across Hester Street, Grand Street. We made a right just now onto Broome Street, and we're going to head down Mott Street, which used to be part of Little Italy, but it's pretty much Chinatown now. If you were here 50 years ago, this neighborhood would have looked a lot more Italian, but, well, like I said, things change. To our left is a small neighborhood here in Manhattan known as Nolita, short for North of Little Italy, Nolita. New York City has a lot of neighborhoods with abbreviated names. Some of them around here include NoHo, which is north of Houston, and of course Soho, which is south of Houston. We'll be visiting those neighborhoods in a future video. And here we are on Mott Street, again, used to be Little Italy, now part of Chinatown, or it's kind of like a hybrid, but mostly Chinatown now. Each New York City neighborhood has its own character, but stepping into Manhattan's Chinatown, one of the largest in the US, I think the only one larger would be in San Francisco, it's like finding yourself immersed in another country. It's street vendors, tea rooms, dim sum parlors, and lively parks and restaurants, all within a network of narrow streets, lend the area's distinctive feel and provide some of the many reasons to visit Chinatown. Now, years ago, Chinatown used to be a smaller, much smaller neighborhood on the other side of Canal Street, but it's slowly encroached north, west, and east, and south. And this neighborhood is growing by leaps and bounds, taking over areas of the Bowery, part of Lower Manhattan, just really explosive growth in the last, I'm going to say, 2 decades. Now we're heading south and we're going to cross Canal Street into what was the original Chinatown before the expansion began. You'll find tons of produce markets, fish markets, flower stores, and ducks. Dead ducks hanging in windows, in the restaurants and in the shops here. Lots and lots of dead ducks. Cooked, of course, but still, dead ducks. Don't forget to look for Cabby, who shows up in all my New York City videos. Sometimes he's elusive, and sometimes, well, he's bright yellow. He's easy to find. So if you do see him showing up as a quick flash in the background, leave a comment below on the timestamp where you saw him, and you'll get a shout out on an upcoming video. I love Chinese food, not so much dead ducks, but Chinese food in general, noodles and dim sum and you know, all that kind of stuff. And I did a quick search on Google and they pretty much came up with the same answers as far as the number, or the top 10, I should say, ethnic foods in the US. Now, if you're from the Northeast like I am, you would think Italian would be number 1, but it's not. Actually, it's pretty far down on the list. I'll go through the list in order here. Number 1 is Chinese, followed by Mexican, followed by, believe it or not, Thai, Indian, and Korean food. And then there's Greek and Italian, Italian coming in at number 7, followed by Hawaiian. Who knew? And again, this is several sources, so it must be somewhat accurate. If we continued straight here on Mott Street, we would eventually end up in the Civic area or City Hall area of New York City, but we're going to make a left and head towards the Bowery, or what used to be part of the Bowery, now it's obviously Chinatown. I sound like a tour guide in these New York City videos, don't I? Okay, people, follow me. Careful crossing the street. Let's go. We're walking. So let me ask you guys, historically, what do you think was the most dangerous or most violent street here in New York City? Well, it's right here in Chinatown. We'll find out in a moment and drive right down it. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video, and if you are, give it a thumbs up, and while you're at it, if you're not subscribed to the New Yawk channel already, subscribe right now. It really does help the channel out. And while you're at it, if you'd like to support the New Yawk channel, just click on that thanks button right underneath the video. I appreciate your support, guys. So right now we're driving down Pell Street and we're going to make a left onto Doyers. Doyers being that street that I was telling you about a little earlier, also known as Murder Alley. The street's only 200 feet long and there's a sharp bend in the middle, and early in the century, the bend in the street became known as Bloody Angle or Murder Alley because of the numerous killings among the gangs of Chinatown that lasted well into the 1930s. Hatchets were frequently used, leading to the creation of the expression hatchet man. In 1994, law enforcement officials said that more people died violently at the Bloody Angle than any other street intersection in the United States. These days, however, Dorrier Street is much safer. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, comment, ask some questions, and most importantly, subscribe by clicking on the button on the left. You can visit all of my New York videos by clicking on the top right, or check out my videos on other favorite places to visit by clicking on the bottom right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around the city.